Hi, good evening. We are live again on Ubuntu channel. We come live every Friday to talk about nothing but sports in Zambia. This is Ubuntu Sports, another edition where we are looking at Zambia's chances of qualifying for the AFCON 2023. Now, Zambia played its first two matches for the qualifications, so we want to hear what your views are for Zambia's chances for qualifying to the Africa 2023. We've not been qualifying to the AFCON since 2013, the last edition, which was held in South Africa, and it was won by Nigeria. From then, we have not been qualifying to the AFCON. Now, tonight, to help me analyze the situation of Zambia's qualification, I'm with Lawrence. Lawrence, good evening and welcome to Ubuntu Sports.
Thank you so much, Reuben. Good evening to you. Good evening to the viewers and the listeners out there. Thank you for joining us on Ubuntu channel.
How has been your week? It's been cold here in Lusaka. I don't know where you are. How has been the weather and how has been your week?
The week has been okay. To some extent, our national team gave us a reason to smile and enjoy the rest of the week. The weather is cold here, but I hear Lusaka is much more cold. So we are hanging in there.
All right. Now, Lawrence, Let's dive into this Zambia's chances of qualifying to the AFCON. Yes, we've won one game. We lost one game. We look at Ivory Coast. They beat us 3-1, and they drew yesterday against Lesotho 1-1. How do you rate the chances of Zambia going to the AFCON 2023?
I think we are still in the race. We still have a lot of work to do, yes, but we are still in the race. And in football, anything can happen. So we can always say it's not over till it's over. As things stand, in fact, we are second in the group. And the only thing we have to aim this time around is ensure that Lesotho does not give us much problems, and I think we are good to go.
All right. So I'm sure you watched the game. Let's start with the Ivory Coast game. I'm sure you watched the game. Lawrence, we started the game very poorly in the first half, though we managed to hold Ivory Coast 0-0 in the new stadium in Ivory Coast. But the second half was disaster. They started scoring and they went on and scored 3 goals. Lawrence, how was the game in Ivory Coast?
I think if you remember very well, we were talking about the game live on Ubuntu channel while Zambia was playing, and we talked about it at halftime that we were living dangerously, and Ivory Coast was always going to punish us at some point. In the first half, we survived, we held on. I think we also saw Ivory Coast hit the crossbar from close range, and it was all those were signs, I should say. We failed to heal from the disaster and the poor start that we had in the first half. We failed to make amends for it in the second half, and we continued on that trajectory. And Ivory Coast came and punished us in the second half, scoring 3 goals, and we could only manage one consolation. I think at the time we started playing the game and trying to go forward more, we were already losing by 2 or 3 goals, and it was always going to be difficult like that. We should have started, I think, on a higher note. It would have helped our cause if we started the first half, especially, were trying to disturb the play from Ivory Coast, their creativity. We saw how their wing backs were pushing up front, and we allowed them all that space. If we are to go into the nitty gritties of it, I think we didn't have the defensive protection for our penalty area, and Ivory Coast exploited that.
Indeed, Lawrence. I remember when we were building up to the game for Ivory Coast, Lawrence. One of the things that you talked about was the quality of the players that Ivory Coast have, especially you yourself went for players like Gradel. How influential was Gradel in that game, Lawrence? Hi, Lawrence, are you there?
The influence is very visible, and he scored. That's influence enough, because his name was on the score sheet. He also gave us a lot of problems, especially in the first half. We saw. Yes, I'm there.
Continue with your contribution, Lawrence.
Okay. I'm saying we saw how Maxi Gradel came through in the first half, and he scored against us. That is influence enough, and we cannot write off the contributions he made for his country in that game. We gave them so much of the ball, and they made sure they utilized it. And this is the contrast with the way they played with against Lesotho, and I think Lesotho was even worse off than Zambia were, even if the result doesn't show that. Probably because Lesotho were more defensively organized against Ivory Coast as compared to Zambia. So probably that's where Lesotho still store a point.
All right, so to our viewers, in case you're joining us, this is Ubuntu Sports, and we are discussing nothing but the chances of Zambia qualifying to the AFCON 2023. Now, if you missed the game between Ivory Coast and Zambia, we have the highlights ready for you. So, Lawrence, let's watch the highlights. Then afterwards, we'll continue discussing the chances of Zambia qualifying to the Africa Cup of Nations. All right, so uh, those are the highlights between Ivory Coast and Zambia, and we lost by 3 goals to 1. Lawrence, all the goals the first 2 goals for Ivory Coast came from the set pieces. How does that make us as a team in terms of defending set pieces, Lawrence? Allowing 2 goals from set pieces. How do you rate the defense in terms of organization when you're defending the set pieces, Lawrence?
I think I saw a little bit of naivety in the defense of our team in those set pieces. There is the second goal was scored while the header came from a player being marked by Enoch Mwepo, and I saw a lack of effort from his side in that case, and that is where we have a problem. We needed to show a little bit of resilience in trying to defend and protect our goal in those areas. I think set pieces are a cause for concern, and where the problem also comes in is that in that game we played with only 2 defensive players and without a natural defensive midfielder who would put more effort in protecting our penalty area. But I think collectively as a team, it is the duty of each and every player who goes to defend the set pieces to put in a little bit of effort in avoiding such calamities. But we saw some sort of naivety in the defense, and that is where we got punished.
Right. If we can have that lineup, so that we can do the justice in terms of analysis. If we can have the lineup, so that we can analyze what Lawrence is talking about. That we had 2 defenders in the team. So let's look at the defense, Lawrence. So in the defense, we had Luvambo Msonda, Tandi Mwape, Frankie Msonda, and Rodrigue Kawe. So I understand Luvambo Msonda and Rodrigue Kawe. These are midfielders. So what you're saying, Lawrence, is that only Tandi Mwape and Frankie Msonda were defenders. They were natural defenders in this case.
Exactly, and that is where I think probably we missed it. I see what the coach is trying to do is trying to attack from the back with using the wing backs, the left and right wing backs to push forward so that they can have some sort of effect in the attack. But I think it didn't work out because we didn't have much of the ball and we didn't push them so much. I like the fact that we see Tandi Mwape taking the mantle in the first half where we were very poor. I think he was the best player in the first half in that game. I can't take that away from him, but he did his part, and I saw a little bit of fragility from Frankie Msonda, where he was being drawn away from position, and that is where Ivory Coast tried to exploit in most cases. But all the same, the fact that we only had the 2 as defensive-minded players in the whole team was I think a bad decision from the coach. Probably it was a good idea, but which didn't work out, because unfortunately football is a results-oriented business, and if you don't produce the results, the criticism will come through, and that is where everybody thought the coach got it wrong there.
All right, Lawrence, what of the front 3? It was a surprise start for Prince Mumba. Were you surprised with the start? For me, it was surprising.
I didn't get the question.
I'm saying, if you look at the front 3 in terms of our strikers, in Patson Daka, Prince Mumba, and Fashion Sakala, did you expect Prince Mumba to start as a main striker and Daka playing in the wing?
Not really, because I think the experience from Mumba is not yet there, I think, in my opinion. And I didn't expect him to take up such a huge role, especially in a game as big as this. Probably we should have tried to play with a little bit of experience in that area, so that we could try and exploit as much as possible. But the coach had other ideas. Yes, I think let me make mention that he might have ideas and try to do something. There is something that he was trying to achieve in the ground, and there is something that he feels Mumba could have added in the team that probably most of us are not understanding. But like I said earlier on, if things don't go right for the coach, the criticism will come, and unfortunately things didn't go right in this game, and we are always going to point out where we feel the coach should have done better. And the decision to play Mumba as the main striker, I think, backfired in all areas, and it was not expected. Every other pundit or every other soccer analyst out there who was tasked to come up with a starting lineup for this game did not even think of Mumba playing as the main striker there. Everybody is expecting Patson Daka to carry out that role, and Fashion Sakala was in the right place, and probably Klings Kangwa coming in as well. But the coach had other ideas, and the ideas that he had did not work out this time.
All right, so if you're joining us, you're watching Ubuntu Sports, and we're discussing Zambia's chances to qualify to the Africa Cup 2023, and we're analyzing the past two games for Zambia. We lost in Ivory Coast against Ivory Coast, and we won against Comoros at Heroes Stadium. So we're analyzing the last two games that we played, and then we're also looking at the general chances of Zambia qualifying to the 2023. Looking at, we've been missing a lot of AFCON tournaments. Now, Lawrence, one of the issues that we've been discussing in the national team is the replacement for Kennedy Mwene as a number one goalkeeper in Zambia. Now, in these two games, in the last two qualifiers, we've used Tostan Sabata. How do you rate his performance?
Well, there is not much you can fault Tostan Sabata on, apart from maybe that confusion that led to the Comoros goal in the second game. And that confusion really is partly his fault, because I think he should have handled it better, even though the ball was badly played back to him by Tandy Mwape. All the same, I think he's partly to blame, and Tandy Mwape is also partly to blame, so they share the blame on that one. Apart from that incident, I don't think there is anything much we can fault him, though we need to try and see if the goalkeeping coaches can try and keep on mentoring Tostan Sabata, especially when it comes to aerial balls, where he sometimes looks unsure whether he should come out and clear the ball or wait for it and go. And you see the indecisiveness in his body language. He moves 2 steps forward and comes backwards, and it's like he's trying to calculate, should I go for it or should I just hold on? And I think it's always important for a goalkeeper, especially to be very decisive. When you decide, I'm going for this ball, go for it. If you decide, no, I'm not taking this one, unlike where you, most of the times he seems to take a few steps forward, like he wants to go for the ball, and then he changes his mind and takes again 2 steps backward, rushing back and go. I think that is only where we need to see some improvement, and gives us a little bit of worries. But all in all, I think Tostan Sabata had a great time in goal in those 2 games. So, in a nutshell, Tostan Sabata looked like a good fit. I can't say perfect, but I'll say a good fit for the role, and he did well in my own view.
Right. Thank you, Lawrence. Now, the loss wasn't the only disappointment that we saw in this last week. There was one issue again, Lawrence, that the fans actually didn't make it to Ivory Coast to go and cheer the boys. The delegation, which was led by the minister and the permanent secretary, paid for the chartered a plane to go to Ivory Coast with the supporters and or the fans. But unfortunately, on the actual day, the plane was nowhere to be seen, Lawrence. What do you make of that story?
That probably better arrangements need to be made next time. And it's unfortunate that the airline in question could not communicate in time that the flight would not be available, so that other arrangements could be made. And they cited a technical fault. Yeah, we understand. These are man-made machines that are prone to malfunction at one point or the other. But in this case, I think it's very difficult to understand the narrative that is coming from the airline, because I think a chartered plane should have been prepared and arranged days before. And if there was a technical fault, I think another plane should have been on standby or something like that, because we are looking at a client paying to charter a whole plane at once, which for me, in a layman's view, is good business, because you do not have to wait for people to buy tickets one after another. And I think they should have been prioritized. Whatever other planes they had, they should have known that this one is a good business, and we need to not to turn them down, because we might need to charter a plane again for other games. And this time around, obviously, this particular airline cannot be contacted for such a service ever again, which is bad for their business. Unfortunately, we are seeing a lot of squabbles coming in, and some narratives coming in that this party is demanding for a refund, the other party is refusing to give the refund for stories that are maybe outstanding in the past. But all the same, I think there is always a better way of resolving such issues, I think.
All right, thank you very much, Lawrence. Now, our viewers will be sharing a link with you so that you can come in the studios and share with us what do you rate Zambia's chances of qualifying for the AFCON 2023. Would love to hear from you. What are your thoughts regarding Zambia's qualification to the AFCON 2023? I know you have a lot to say as our fans, because Zambia has been failing over time to qualify to the AFCON for some good years now, since 2013, when we played in South Africa, and that tournament was won by Nigeria. Now, Lawrence, the other player that I want us to rate, or I want to get your analysis on, is our captain Mwepu. In the first game, you said he didn't jump with a player the time we were defending a set piece from Ivory Coast. Generally, how was his game being the captain? Can he handle the badge? Is he a man enough to lead the team, or maybe we need to change the captain at this stage, Lawrence?
I think there is no need to change a captain. Let me make this clear. There is completely no need to change a captain. We have an able captain in Enoch Mwepu, who should be given time to grow into the role, and will come good, I'm sure, at the end of it, because I've seen him play and I've seen him produce spectacular moments like he did against Comoros. That was spectacular. I can't take that away from him. But against the Ivory Coast, again, it comes back to the technical bench, where I feel he was playing a very unusual role on his part, because you see, I think there is something that Mr. Aliosa Sanovic was trying to put across, which I think the players didn't buy in, and it really cost us that game. It really cost us that game. Really, to be honest, I didn't see that much chance of us winning it, the game against Ivory Coast, especially in Ivory Coast. But the nature in which we lost was very worrying, because halftime 0-0 and go to 3-0 down in the second half was really, really, really unacceptable, to be honest. And every Zambian out there was very disappointed with that. Yeah, we managed to pull one back, but the general performance was affected by the fact that the coach had really introduced unusual positions to the players. Probably not really unusual, but these are, we try to play to the players' strength, and we always try to do that. But in this case, we forgot about that and tried to play to create an idea, to effect an idea from the coach that didn't work out. It's unfortunate that a lot of these players are now coming into play from different positions from what they usually take on in their clubs where they play every day. Because I think we know that practice makes perfect. We understand that every week the player plays in a particular position. They attain intelligence over the position. They attain experience in that position. They attain the creativity in that position, and they become geniuses in that particular position. And then they come here in the national team. You take them to go and play somewhere else, which they also have to perfect over time. So it just can't give you results there and then, and that is where I think we missed it. So I can't really fault Mwepu, but his performance, I should say, was not up to the way I know Mwepu, and part of the reason is what I've just given you. But the first game, I think we can excuse a majority of the players because they underperformed in that game, and the ratings, I think, were very low for most of the players. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. We are talking about the Zambia's chances to qualify to the AFCON 2023. We've shared the link with you in the comments. You can join us and let's hear from you. What do you think? How was Zambia's performance against Ivory Coast? How was Zambia's performance against Comoros? Now, Lawrence, let's shift to the other game. Let's shift to the other game for Comoros. Now, Zambia was playing at Hero Stadium. I know there was too much pressure on the team, but how did you rate the national team against Comoros, Lawrence?
First and foremost, I commend the team for having that mental toughness, to come back after conceding that early against Comoros and come back to win it. It was magnificent, to say the least. It was brave and a great team effort to achieve that, because I've seen this national team collapse like they did in Ivory Coast. The moment they conceded the first goal, the whole team collapsed, and that's why it was easy for Ivory Coast to go 2 and 3 up. But this time around, after they conceded this goal, I think they took charge of the game, took the game to Comoros, and in extra time of the first half, they managed to draw level. And with the moment I saw that, to some extent, I believed that I think the second half they are going to come all guns blazing against Comoros, and they did that. So it's very important that we should not always try to find the negatives in this team, but also applaud them where they do well. And in this instance, they did well in their fight back from conceding a goal to come level and later on push until they win the game. That was magnificent, and I think kudos to the team, kudos to the technical bench, and the subs Aliosa made. I think they worked very well, and we saw Cleans come in from the bench and scoring the winner. That was magnificent, really. You can't take that away from the team.
All right, that was magnificent indeed. Thank you, Lawrence. Now let's watch the highlights in case you missed the game. Zambia versus Comoros. Here. All right, so those are the highlights between Zambia versus Comoros game. It was an entertaining game. I was at Hero Stadium reporting with Lance. Now, Lawrence, uh, look at the first goal which Comoros scored. Uh, Most people were blaming Tandy Mwape for that error, but I think Tostan Sabata would have done better in that instance. What do you think, Lawrence?
I said it earlier on. I think the two share the blame. Tandy Mwape, the pass was really not good enough. It was not a strong enough pass for the goalkeeper to be comfortable with it, and so it put the goalkeeper in an awkward position, and he had to react, and I think probably he overreacted in that instance, and unfortunately the ball came off his hands, and Yusuf pounced on us. But all in all, the blame is shared between the two. I think probably Tandy Mwape should have known better. The pass was very soft, too soft, and at the moment I saw that, I knew it was problems. But again, Tostan Sabata should have handled that ball. So you can blame either, but for me they share the blame.
All right, let's look at that lineup against Comoros. I want to I want us to see if we still use the
Reuben,
two defenders or some changes. Yes, Lawrence, I can get you. Can you get me? Lawrence, are you there?
yes, I'm here.
All right. I'm sure you're able to see the lineup. There were some changes extra with the back, Lawrence. This time we didn't use actually Luambo Msonda in the number two position, but we used him in the midfield and we brought in Shemi Maembe. Was that a difference that made our defense solid?
I think this game showed me something. There is a reason why the coaches are trying to avoid using the natural right back we have in Shemi Mayembe. I think he really had a tough time, especially in the first half, chasing the game from Comoros. And I started to think, could this be the reason why Lubambo Msonda is always shown in that area? I'm not sure if that is the reason, but I think Shemi Mayembe at some point struggled a lot, and Comoros knew they had found a weak link in that back line, and they always channel the ball to the left side to put pressure on Shemi Mayembe, and that also ended up drawing either Frankie Msonda or Tandy Mwape shifting to the left also to assist him, and it left a little bit of a vacuum in the middle of the defense, and to some extent, I think we managed to come out strong. And at some point, Shemi Mayembe is like got hold of the game and came out good. He grew in the game, and by the end of the game, he was like not the same person from the one who started in the same position in the first half. I think kudos to Shemi Mayembe. I can't fault him that much because in the end, he came out good. He finished the game stronger. He finished the game better than he started it.
All right. Now, how do you rate our two strikers in the two games, in Fashion Sakala and Patson Daka? How was their contribution in these two games? Lawrence, are you there?
Sorry, I'm here. I'm saying
All right.
Patson Daka, I think had a quiet game, especially in the first one and the second one as well. But in the first game, he had a chance towards the end and managed to put it in behind to put it in the goal, which was good for him and for his confidence. And for me, that showed that we needed to create more for him in the Comoros game. Unfortunately, he had a very quiet game in the Comoros game, and I only remember one time hitting the post in the first half, and that was the only chance that I could remember Patson Daka having. Apart from that, it was very quiet for him, and it's important to note that. In as much as we are talking about conceding 2 set pieces against Comoros, it's important to note that in the Comoros game we scored 2 set pieces, which was also a bonus on our side. We should try and utilize these 2 pieces as much as possible, like we did in the Comoros game. I think that is where we need to exploit as well, because creating chances in open play, I think, became very difficult for us. We could barely swing in brilliant crosses for Patson Daka to pounce on. I think another weakness I spotted in this team is that we don't have good crossers in the games that we had this time around. I hope the technical bench can work on that, because we have a very good goal poacher in Patson Daka, and yet the quality of the crosses coming in is very poor, and you can't really make an excuse for that.
All right. Thank you very much, Lawrence. Now, Lawrence, we are joined by Bwezani. Bwezani, good evening.
Bwezani, good evening, and welcome to. Thank you so much. I've had challenges with network, but of course, the few minutes that I have to utilize them very well.
All right. Of course, we are talking about the Zambia versus Ivory Coast game. Bwezani, how did you rate the performance for the Zambia national team?
Well, it was not good. Quite moderate. Of course, you can't file everything. This is the first competitive game, I think, for Asanovic that we can actually look at and say, wow, what type of a coach do we have? What type of system is he bringing? Are the players adapting to whatever it's being imparted on them? I think that, for me, that's the direction that I was watching that game. From just the first lineup, I can confidently say he did not know a lot about the players that he has. He did improve, yes, coming into the second half. But I think, for me, what killed us all is actually the first half, because yes, we may not have conceded, but I think Ivory Coast realized the weaknesses that were in this team. If you saw, there were a lot of split passes in the center of defense. And clearly, those split passes were as a result of a lot of breakdowns in the middle of the pack. That's where we lost it completely, and we exposed the defense. And for me, I would say it was a learning game that you can actually look at and say, wow, okay, so what next from there? That is what I would say on the Ivory Coast. And I think the other reason would be that there was so much respect given to the opponent. You would see how much they enjoyed playing possessive football. And most of the time, Zambia was actually just chasing shadows. So there wasn't a lot of character in that game for me.
All right. Now, if we watched the game, and before it started, we were worried. If you can mute yourself with an. Yeah. So we were worried when we saw the lineup. Two things. We saw Lodrika was starting on the left side and Luambo Msonda starting on the right side, meaning we only had two natural defenders in Tandi Mwape and Frank Msonda. Now, in your analysis, Bwezani, was that a good start? Looking at, we're playing with players from Ivory Coast who are exposed and they are good and they are organized.
Well, for me, I think no coach would just come.
You're muted, Bwezani.
Okay, so I'm saying no coach would just come up and start a formation that is not aware of. This team has been in training, and I understand that. Look, he wanted to have more possessive football and more attacking prowess going forward. That's the reason for me he used that, but it was just disaster. And I think he didn't understand the players very well. His formation was to have Luambo and Rodrigue push as much as possible up front to just increase the chances of attacking. Practically, if you look at that formation, that is what was in Asanovic's mind. But what type of players did he have to employ such tactics? You understand what I mean? Because look, that was a good thought because it improves attack. But what was lacking for that type of formation was we did not have defensive midfielders. He wanted to use Enoch Mwepu in a position where Enoch becomes a defensive midfielder, and we know he can't manage to do that. You understand what I mean? So a formation was good, but the tools that he had to use that formation was not up to date.
One of the players that we saw starting in that game was Prince Mumba.
Okay, Bwezani, I want to find out something from you.
Yes.
Go ahead, Lawrence.
I would want to find out something from Bwezani. Particularly, if you look at the preparation, the preparations that we've had concerning before these games, you find that Asanovic was just recently appointed as the coach, and he's not had much time and games to prepare this team. We remember friendlies against India and all that being cancelled and things like that. So would you really blame him that much if you look at it from that perspective, that he was trying to do something he had no chance to try? Because if he had the friendlies to try all those things, that I think he would have known that this cannot work. But in this instance, he did not have enough friendlies to have to push his agenda and try out what he thinks would work out for this team. So would you so much put the blame on Asanovic, or maybe the FA also has a hand in it?
Ultimately, when the game is played, unfortunately, it is the coach to blame. Oh, you understand what I mean? It's just simple. He's employed to win us games. For me, the blame is most the friendlies that we had. We had two good international friendlies. We were supposed to have Patson Daka, Enoch Mwepu came into that game, and this is the biggest problem that I face with these international friendlies. You're going to have a big number of local players, and when it is time to put these games, you bring in those that were not even part of the friendlies. You understand what I mean? So they are friendlies by name. My point would be, if it is an international friendly, these excuses that Patson Daka and the friends bring to say he's committed this and the FA takes it shouldn't be considered. If it is an international friendly, let the best players come. Let all the formations that the coach wants be put in place. I think for me that is the biggest weakness that I've seen in Zambia. We even give excuses that are not supposed to be there. One thing I'm going to agree with you is that Asanovic has not had a lot of time to prepare his team. That one is fully understood. But I think moving forward, it's something that he needs to understand. If you see that formation and the players he used, you clearly see to say the man does not know his players. You understand? This is the reason as why you come into the second game, Prince is nowhere in the starting lineup. You understand? So he clearly see, you can clearly see to say he's a coach that listens, he's a coach that is knowing his players. So yes, he can be forgiven for the Ivory Coast game, but then let's see what he's actually made of in the games that are coming next.
Now, Bwezani said, this looks as if he didn't know his players. But Asanovic is not new to the national team. He has been there. He has been around for some time now.
Which came as a technical director. We expect him to do better first. And you and me know to say that technical director was just a passage for him to be coach. You understand? No one could give Beston Chambeshi those few months to be coach. We knew to say Beston was actually preparing the way for Asanovic. So he should have been so much concentrated on what he was doing. From what I'm seeing in Asanovic, he did not want to change a lot of what Beston has done. You understand? He needed a bit of some transition. That's why if you look at all these players that played, they were always Beston Chambeshi's players. Okay? So he needs to change and make his own template. What we saw is still you can actually see the Beston Chambeshi tactics in it, but then we need to wait and see to say, now this is Asanovic. He needs to give us a template that we can actually look up and say, okay, now this is a coach. These are the tactics. If you watch, the football that was played in Ivory Coast is the attacking Beston Chambeshi football. We can't. It is difficult for you to actually see the difference between what Beston Chambeshi was doing, what Asanovic did. Yes, in the second game against the Comoros, you can actually see the differences now and say, okay, he is slow in changing things if they are not working. Okay, he wants to give players a bit more of time, and these players have to be quick in understanding his formation of play. I think that is where there's that gap, but we can clearly see to say he's almost becoming a man of his own. If you look at the two friendlies that he had, Benin and the Guinea, and if you look at the game against Ivory Coast and against Comoros, you can practically see a bit of some improvement and the character that is being put in the players.
Now, Bwezani, I can't let you go when I still commenting on the Kando. The ministry chartered a plane going to Ivory Coast. The minister was leading the delegation, and on the day that was supposed to leave, the plane was nowhere to be seen, and the national team went on to play in Ivory Coast without the fans. What's your comment, Bwezani?
Well, even the people that were gathered at the airport are not soccer fans. It's okay. They are not soccer fans. And these are the lessons that we should... If you check, they were party members. You understand? We soccer fans were in Kalingalinga. You and me were in our houses. You understand? So first of all, can we clean these delegations when we say there are soccer fans that are going to cheer? You understand? There's a difference. If it was Peter Makembo and his entourage, yes, you would start thinking of this. It was important for them to go. That is it. But generally, if you look at it, it's embarrassing. We cannot have such things happening. You understand what I mean? But also, it's good riddance. There's so much secrecy in who goes. Yes, I've had an opportunity to go and chair the national soccer team, and I know what happens. The first priority is given to political cadres. And look, if you had an opportunity to go to the airport that day, you would actually start agreeing with me. So preparation-wise should improve. Who goes and what? Who is in charge? Let this be taken away from political cadres. Let it be given to people that are running football. In that case, yes, tickets can be given to those that are in political stance. But if it is to go and cheer the team, can we have a better representation?
All right. And another scandal happened at Heroes. After the game, we saw people having access into the dressing room of our national team and taking photos. This has been circulating on social media, and I saw something on your page talking about this. I want you to give you this opportunity on Ubuntu just to speak something over that. What can you say? Over that?
Well, I'm seriously wondering as to why people are even justifying such. Look, I'm very close to the clubs. I'm very close to the teams. I'm very close to players, most of the players. Do you know, the only dressing room I've been is at Independence Stadium at Mabanga when it was being officiated. You understand? So people will get surprised to say, Bwezani has never been in this dressing room. I've never been at the Ghana dressing room. I've never been at Power Dynamo's dressing room. Those are sanctuary. Those are places for players. Understand what I mean? And Westmore, we go there with all those selfies. It's just disturbing. You cannot justify that. People should just own up and apologize for that, and we move on. That shouldn't happen again. And I think the biggest problem for me is who gave access. You understand? Because if you check those photos, it was barely a few minutes after the game was played. Okay? So you can't, Reuben, you can't have such. It's not allowed. Let us just treat it as something that should never happen and something that shouldn't have happened. People should apologize and we move on. We shouldn't see such pictures again. I've given you an example. Bwezani Zambian football. That's what people call me. But seriously, I don't know most of these dressing rooms because those are secret players for players, secret places for players. And look, their players have their own rituals. They sing there. Let's not make it a public place. It's not right.
All right. Seems we've lost Bwezani there. Now, Lawrence, as we are coming to an end, what next for Zambia now? The next game is in September. We're playing back-to-back games with Lesotho. The first game will be at Hero Stadium, and the second game we're going out to Lesotho. How should we prepare for these games, Lawrence?
I think it's important we put in the right preparations this time around, and we try to make sure that in these friendlies, like what Bwezani has said, we have friendlies, and this time around incorporate as many players as possible to participate in the preparations, because it also makes no sense that some international players only come and play the actual games, and in the preparations, the friendlies, they are missing. This time around, let's ensure that we have the right preparations and with everybody in place, so that we can know how we can build the team better this time around. And also, it's imperative that the Football Association of Zambia tries to take up this challenge with two hands, and supports the team as much as possible in this journey, especially when it comes to practices. I think we need high caliber matches, unlike what we saw this time around. Let's I was impressed with other countries trying to play big teams. The Ivory Coast were playing at the friendly with France, at the friendly with England, and those are big teams. It's what I know. It's difficult for Zambia to get friendlies with such caliber, but at least I think for me, I was very unimpressed and very uninspired when I heard Zambia is arranging a friendly with India, and it's a country well known for cricket and not football. Though I don't know. In my opinion, I think let's try and look at our opponents and try and play teams that can play like our opponents, and that's what we need to do. Thank you.
Bwezani, well, the next game for the national team is in September against Lesotho. Now we need these points, Bwezani, at this stage for us to better our chances of qualifying. What should we do?
So Zambia's qualification is in the next two games. If you check the way teams qualify, the back-to-back with one team is actually what makes teams qualify. Okay, so we've lost one, we've won one. We have two games back-to-back against Lesotho. Of course, the first one is coming up, I think, on the 19th of September, with the second one coming out on the 27th of September. So that's just a few days between those two. For me, if you look at the result of Ivory Coast and the Lesotho, it tells you it's not an easy road. What is beneficial is that Zambia is starting at home. Okay, so that is a must-win game. That's a must-win game. They just need to get the 3 points, put a lot of panic into Ivory Coast, because with Ivory Coast drawing against, with Lesotho drawing against Ivory Coast puts a lot of confidence in them. And they know to say Zambia was beaten by Ivory Coast. So there's a lot of confidence in Lesotho, and coming into Zambia, they will come very confident. We need to pick maximum points in that one and go back with them panicking. What we need to do is look out for international calendar and start getting permission from all these clubs and players so that the first lineup is able to play a full-time friendly that is going to help Asanovic choose who is going to be the better player to get into that first lineup. Because where we are settling with Lesotho, remember Comoros will be doing their own honeymoon with Ivory Coast. You understand? We don't know. It looks like if you check on what Ivory Coast is doing, they can lose to everyone apart from Zambia. You understand what I mean? Because they know the history that is there between these two. So we need to take care of our games and not concentrate on what is happening between Comoros and Ivory Coast.
All right. Thank you very much, Bwezani. Thank you very much, Lawrence. This is where we have to end our edition of Ubuntu Sports today. Join us next week again on the same time, 21 hours, Ubuntu Sports. Good night and God bless you.